Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Stephen. Really excited to chat with you and all the things that you're building with Saga, with SMS. We were talking a little bit before, and the community aspect, I think, of the blockchain industry is unique, but you have a large community excited to test out the product, buy the phone, and excited to learn what you're building behind the scenes.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. We were talking beforehand. One thing I mentioned was I've been building phones and consumer electronics for 20 years now, but this is it's my first time working in blockchain, and also it's a really exciting space. So it's been a long time since I've been as pumped and excited to be building a product as the Saga.
Perfect. Well, let's just jump into it. In your words, can you just explain what Saga is for those that don't know, and afterwards maybe jump into what is really the importance of mobile? I think when you guys first announced Saga, a lot of people came up to me and were wondering why a blockchain was getting into the phone business.
Sure. So Saga is a flagship Android device that adds on crypto and Web3 features. That's its sort of high level vision. But what it's made up of, first of all, it's got flagship specs. It's got the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, 12 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of flash, 6.67 inch OLED display. So it is a fantastic phone. I've been, here it is right here. I've been carrying this as my device for a few months now. Definitely phone is still in development, so I've seen a few of the rough corners. But at the same time, the hardware is fantastic, and I love carrying it day to day. So it is $1,000, 1,000 USDC, and pre-orders are open now. It'll be shipping in early 2023. What it is, though, like I said, it's a great Android flagship phone that adds in key features for Web3 and crypto. We got a few technologies we've added to it that we've lumped under what we call the Solana Mobile Stack, or because we love tongue-in-cheek acronyms, SMS. So a few key technologies in there. Seed Vault, because we think that key custody and self-custody is super important for users on mobile. The mobile wallet adapter, that's how users will be able to connect their wallet to their dApps and use them on their mobile devices. And then finally, the Solana DApp Store, how we're going to be delivering Web3 content to users. So all of that is Perfect. The what, but it doesn't really address some of the why. And why Saga, like you alluded to before, is really why mobile. Why is L1 getting into this kind of project? And it's really all about the user experiences that mobile can offer. It's a very different environment than desktop, but to me, there's really three key themes that we've sort of narrowed in on as we sort of discussed the vision of the project, and then also started building and defining what Saga will be. And for me, we really narrowed down on pervasiveness of computing. We take it for granted now. We carry our mobile phones everywhere. And I don't know about you, Logan, but I always go to my mobile phone first. There's almost never a use case where I will go and grab my laptop for my first interaction or my first attempt at something. We have our phones with us. They're always connected. And that brings it, we no longer have to unpack our laptops or set up a desktop or do whatever if we want to engage with our digital lives, except for crypto somehow. And phones have won in every other use case, every other way we live our digital lives and use our computing devices. Phones are the first place we go, except for crypto. And Saga sets out to change that. Asynchronous. I
love the intro.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say asynchronous computing is closely related to that, but that's the idea that I shouldn't have to think about the context of how I want to use, interact with my crypto or my Web3 use cases. They should come to me. They should tell me. Great example of that would be like NFT minting, for example. I shouldn't have to dedicate one brain cell to remembering that my key NFT mint is coming up. My phone should tell me, let me tap on a notification, and then mint right from there. And so use cases like that, very asynchronous use cases that your phone is always with you. You have that pervasiveness of computing. Your phone should be, interceding with you when it's time for you to take actions. And then finally, what I call like a digital gateway. It's like, this is an artifact. This is something we hold in our hands. We have with us at all times, packed with sensors. It's got camera, GPS, NFC, and all of these things can be used to interact with the real world. And so I look forward to a future when I can play with my NFTs in real space through augmented reality, when I can tap my phone to pay for something in the real world using, for example, Solana Pay plus NFC, when my mints just pop up, when my phone can geofence and tell me when I'm in certain locations where there might be crypto relevant activities that I can participate in. So all of those things to me are the why mobile.
Perfect. No, I love the intro, and it seems obvious that mobile kind of ultimately will be the dominant platform for crypto. I mean, as you mentioned, it already is today for pretty much vast majority of kind of our online interactions. And so logical next step is definitely kind of porting what we have today on desktop to the phone. So maybe you touch upon a lot, even like some of the core technology stack with like the DApp Store, Seed Vault, and mobile wallet adapter. But before we kind of jump into some of those like specific things, I would love to even learn a little bit more just about like the ideation of like how you got into Saga. Was it primarily just being like, we understand that mobile is such a large market, and we want to bring crypto forward into that market? I'm curious to learn like what you and the team thought, like even prior to like starting this project.
Yep. So the genesis of this actually even predates my joining Solana Mobile. So it dates back to Breakpoint in 2021, and Anatoly was having some conversations, and he comes from a mobile background as well. He spent time at Qualcomm, for example, and he had a vision for what crypto should be on mobile devices. And that really was the genesis of this project. And so I joined Solana Labs in February of last year. It's crazy to think of that it's now 2023, but February of 2022, I joined. I was working at a company that is famous for making white and beige products. And I was sitting in a conference room that was also happened to be beige colored. And I got a call, and I spent about a day thinking about it, thinking that, I'd sworn to myself I was actually never going to build another mobile phone again because nothing interesting was happening. And then Solana Labs came knocking with something interesting actually happening on mobile devices. So as far as the ideation process, after I joined, we really started to dive into what should a phone do? What are like the key things a phone needs to do for Web3 that they aren't doing right now? And it really came down to secure self-custody for users, right? How can a user feel safe about keeping private keys and keeping funds on a device that fundamentally you carry around with you? We don't want to build Saga to be someone's second device, to be an extra phone you have to put in your pocket and carry around. First and foremost, it also needs to be an amazing phone. And so this has to be something that users feel secure carrying everywhere with them. So security is job number one for us with this device. Beyond that, though, usability. So dApps right now are primarily oriented for large screens, laptops, desktops, etc. And so the interaction model with a user and their Web3 or their crypto experiences on a mobile phone are fundamentally going to be different. And so all the technologies that we're building for SMS sort of play into that. How do we leverage what's different about mobile devices? It's important to bring all those desktop experiences over to mobile, but it's important to make sure as well that they're just not a copy paste of the desktop version. That's kind of like the minimum bar, but there's so much more we can do on mobile. And so thinking about what technologies we needed to build for Saga. I personally view Saga, this is a platform that we're giving to the crypto community to build on top of, to build those experiences. I will frequently claim to my team, to anyone who will listen, that I'm not smart enough to know all the cool things that are going to be built on Saga. But I do know that my team and I can build all the base frameworks needed on top of Saga for other people to deliver those really awesome mobile experiences. And I still get tingles thinking about all like the crazy things that are going to be built on this phone.
Definitely. There's a very large kind of market that gets unlocked when you can start building these applications natively that have previously really been bottlenecked by these other carriers and some of their choices around applications and what can and cannot be deployed to the devices. So maybe kind of jumping off that, one of the things that you mentioned was really keeping and kind of like core to crypto is self-custody and keeping that kind of private key really safe and secure. Could you talk about how Saga and the software that the team has built has really designed to keep private key management and security at the highest order?
Sure. I'll preface this with this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I love to nerd out on this topic a little bit because it's one of the first things that we started defining when I joined Solana Labs and started working on Saga. But so on mobile devices, historically, there's kind of been two extremes as far as the security of your seeds or your private keys. Pure software custody, like is common in wallet applications running on phones today. Great user experience. All it takes is, a quick password, a quick maybe fingerprint to unlock it. But fundamentally, your accounts, your keys, and your seeds are being kept on a in user space on a device. And so, Linux and Android provide a lot of primitives and a lot of protection to users around, protection of their keys and protection of the integrity of a process. But fundamentally, it's still under control of an application that's running in a larger environment, and no system is perfect. So great usability. Unfortunately, there have been incidents in the past where keys have been leaked from applications that were in possession of them. At the other end of the spectrum, you have things like ledger devices. Fantastic security, purpose-built. They do an amazing job. I have several ledger devices. I use them for backing or for storage of my digital assets. But, the usability, especially on the go, does leave a little bit to be desired, right? The tiny screens trying to enter text or PIN codes through two little buttons, certainly not the usability users expect from a device like a phone. And so Seed Vault is our attempt to bring something in between those two extremes. Great security built directly into the system, while at the same time offering a lot of the usability benefits that come from having a rich device with a touch screen, large vibrant display, etc. And so we take advantage of all of the cryptographic and security features that are built into modern phones, of which there's quite a few. And so on the Saga, we take advantage of the trusted execution environment, the Qualcomm secure execution environment in this case, which is below the level of Android. So it's still software, it's still running on the processor, but it's running in a special mode that's away from the main execution of the system. So everything, all the processing that we need to do for your private keys happens in that environment, away from Android, even away from the Linux kernel. And while it's running there, it's not observable to those other pieces of the system. In conjunction with the secure element, which we use to help back some of the storage of your keys so that they're encrypted at rest, and something really cool, which is called Trusted UI. Trusted UI actually allows this trust zone environment to take control of the display and the touch input away from the Android operating system temporarily. So when you're entering a password to decrypt and unlock usage of the seed, that can't be observed by the higher level operating systems. They can't screenshot the display. They can't see those touch inputs. They can't observe any of the processing operations that go into decrypting and deriving keys from your seed. The seeds are never released from Seed Vault. And so when a user creates their seed, it's done with this Trusted UI. If they import it, once again, the import is done through Trusted UI. All the passwords you enter to make use of it, all are entered through Trusted UI. And finally, transaction signing. That happens in the trusted execution environment as well. So from the OS's perspective, so an application running in Android, they're going to submit their transaction for signing. Seed Vault is going to authenticate the user, whether that's biometrically or through entering a password, get that transaction signed and return it back without the app ever being able to see the private key materials or any of the secrets like passwords involved in that process.
Very interesting. No, I love the combination of the software and the hardware and the secure element. And then I was unfamiliar with kind of the trusted UI. I've seen things on Twitter recently where people were, there's always FUD, but some FUD around kind of being able to control the UI for in this process. And so it's amazing to hear that you and the team have already thought about this, from the low level hardware stack to the software that needs to operate it, to all the way and displaying that and making sure that is trusted even when being displayed on the UI. Very cool.
Yeah. And this is the single biggest thing that we're building and integrating directly into the Saga device. So we take our partner Awesome Products is building an amazing phone. They've got a lot of experience building both hardware and software. And so they're delivering us a great Android baseline. But the sort of key feature that we're building into the device itself is the seed vault. And so the trusted execution environment is super low level environment. It's one of the least fun places you can imagine programming because it's all written in C and C++. It's doesn't have any rich UI libraries associated with it. So it's quite a lot of work to build, and it does have to be deeply integrated into the phone by the phone's manufacturer for a whole variety of reasons, including somewhat unfortunately closed source license agreements with SoC manufacturers. And so it does have to be integrated into a device like Saga right from the beginning. And so that's actually one of the key reasons that we're releasing the Saga phone as a first party product. It's not something you can, users are used to getting applications, getting APKs for Android, installing those and adding that functionality themselves to their phones. The Seed Vault is one that, because it needs to take advantage of all these low level system features, has to be built into the phone software right from the get-go. It has to be designed in, and it has to deeply involve the cooperation of the phone manufacturer. And we have a fantastic partner in Awesome who's helping us deliver on this.
That's amazing. And to that point, I think with both Apple phones and other Android phones, just high level, do you think there's any particular reason why? I think both of them most high-end Android phones have a secure element, and then I believe iPhones do as well. Do you have any hypothesis of surrounding why other manufacturers or these other manufacturers have not opened up kind of that functionality of making sure that private key is actually truly secure in mobile devices? So devices do have a lot of cryptographic functionality from these lower layers that they expose up to the higher layers of the system. In Android, that's through a mechanism called Key Store, for example. The best thing about Seed Vault is that we didn't invent anything new here. There's no new hardware being put in phones to deliver on this. It's a huge systems integration challenge, but it's just systems integration work. So there's no reason that any phone couldn't deliver on Seed Vault. We've open sourced the APIs for this. We've open sourced the SDKs for Seed Vault. And I hope for a future where more and more phones do have Seed Vault functionality built into them. And that's actually a big reason that we are building Saga. This is our stake in the ground. This is us saying, this is the experience we want everyone to have. And we're going to build it. We're going to deliver it. And we're going to show, yes, this is possible. Users want this. And then hopefully in the future, users will be able to get access to it, not just on a great first-party device like the Saga, but on other devices as well. I'm going to even refrain from saying Android there because I hope every device someday has access to this. I love it. Definitely pushing not only the blockchain and the crypto industry forward, but the entire phone industry as well. So we definitely appreciate all the work that you're doing. Maybe continuing a little bit forward on the technical aspects before we get into some of the more user-facing stuff. The other thing that you mentioned in the introduction with Saga on the kind of key components that you're building out is the mobile wallet adapter. Could you talk a little bit about mobile wallet adapter, what it is, and what you're trying to achieve there?
Sure. So the The best way I can describe Mobile Wallet Adapter is it's a connector for wallets and dApps that, if it's working well, no one should ever have to know about it. Just like Wallet Adapter running on, in traditional desktop or laptop systems, running in Chrome where you install an extension, no one really needs to know what happens when you click that Connect Wallet button in your dApp. It should just offer you your choice of wallets, connect them, and then offer all the services those wallets expose, like transaction and message signing, for example. It should just expose those to the dApps to make use of. Mobile Wallet Adapter is the exact same thing, but moved over to the mobile paradigm. For example, on mobile, you instead of seeing a web-based pop-up, offering you, hey, I see you have Solflare and Phantom, et cetera, installed, right? The system has that functionality already built in. And Android users are used to seeing what's called that disambiguation dialog pop up from the bottom of their screen when they click a link that says, oh, these 3 applications know how to handle this. Or you want to share something, you can share it through any of these share providers. The same kind of thing should apply on mobile devices for your wallets. Wallet applications on mobile can offer all these transaction signing services, and the user should select the one that they want from a list that's provided by the OS. And so whether those dApps are running in a web browser like Chrome, whether they're native apps running on the device, built in native Java or Kotlin code, or React Native, or Dark Flutter, or Unity, or any of these other frameworks, they should be able to take advantage of a common protocol and common mobile paradigms to connect to those wallets on the device. So just to give you an example of what this might look like, a user might launch their dApp. I'm going to use Orca as an example here, just because I know for sure that works today with Mobile Wallet Adapter. I've been playing with it a bunch. Open up Orca. When you click that Connect Wallet button on mobile, if you have a Mobile Wallet Adapter capable wallet installed, it should just jump straight from Chrome right over to your wallet. Once in your wallet, maybe you use your fingerprint, maybe you enter a password to authorize the wallet and see the transaction details. And all you should have to do is swipe a slider, tap a button, whatever the UX paradigm of that wallet is, sign that transaction and jump right back into Orca. There shouldn't be any complex connection steps to be made, and it should feel very mobile-centric and familiar to mobile users. And so users already can do this on the web today, and now on mobile devices, we've already released this just before Breakpoint. We went public with the Mobile Wallet Adapter integrations. So there's 2 wallets today that have fully integrated this, Solflare and Phantom. If you try to use a mobile dApp on an Android device today and you don't have one of those 2 installed, you'll actually be prompted. You'll be brought to a web page where you can choose to install them. So it's live. People are already experiencing this today. And the best part of it is that they don't even realize they're experiencing anything new. It just feels so natural and native that this is how I interact with dApps on mobile devices, that people don't even realize we've done anything. And that's my favorite part of this, is it works so seamlessly. People don't even realize how much work went into it behind the scenes to make it happen.
Definitely. One of my things that I'm really looking forward to the most is engineers such as yourself abstracting a lot of these complexities for the end users. And really at the end of the day, making it as simple where anybody can really use it, including my grandparents. I would love to get them involved in crypto and Web3. No, it's super interesting. And then on the mobile wallet adapter front, you mentioned some of the things in the different frameworks that developers can use within that. Could you maybe touch a little bit more on how developers can utilize this product feature?
Sure. So there's kind of 2 worlds of developers who are interested in Mobile Wallet Adapter. Wallet developers who have to do all the hard work, and then dApp developers who get a much easier lift thanks to all the work done for the common protocol. And so the implementation of Mobile Wallet Adapter is really split across 2 different pieces. There's the transport layer, and then there's a protocol layer on top of it. The transport layer is WebSockets based, using a local WebSocket connection between a dApp and a wallet. It creates an encrypted session using ECDH and then AES encryption to encrypt all the messages exchanged back and forth between the 2, so that you can have a secure connection and the dApp can prove its identity from itself over to the wallet, so that when the wallet does authenticate and say, yes, this is the DApp I think it is, they can start exchanging the protocol messages across that encrypted session. The protocol messages are the verbs you would expect as a software developer. I want to sign a transaction. I want to sign a message. And then in the future, things like I want to encrypt messages, or I want to create a burner or ephemeral wallet that's unique to this app for a temporary sequence of transactions. All these things, these services that a wallet might want to offer and a DApp may want to consume, is all a JSON, it's a JSON RPC based messaging protocol exchanged from dApps to wallets. And that's the key, because it's just a simple JSON RPC protocol. Any of these client libraries, whether it be a native one like Java Kotlin, which we've produced as a reference implementation and is available in our GitHub, whether it is JavaScript, either from a web browser or through React Native, similarly open sourced in our GitHub, or even frameworks like React Native or Unity, for which the Solana Mobile organization has given mobile grants to various teams to help build out. So, for example, Unity I know isn't available yet, but there is a team out there who's working on Unity integrations. And that one is particularly exciting for me because I cannot wait to see a era of blockchain mobile games, because I think mobile is the perfect platform for these quick games that you engage with whenever you've got a few spare minutes. And I'm excited to see bringing some of the blockchain gaming concepts over onto mobile devices through a framework like Unity, for example.
I definitely agree, and really appreciate you and the team giving developers so many different options to essentially integrate with the stack. Makes it easier for all parties. So both ultimately Seed Vault and the mobile wallet adapter allow and kind of roll up into kind of some of more user functionality components holistically with the DApp Store. Could you talk about what the DApp Store is, what you're trying to achieve, and kind of what the vision is for it?
Sure. So DApp Store is a home for Web3 and crypto content. And the whole reason it exists is that Web3 and crypto content, as we're all unfortunately aware, don't always have a home on the existing app stores on platforms. So whether it's a financial tax, like a 30% fees that are placed on it on the application by the store, or whether it's policies of that store that don't allow a certain use case, like token-gated commerce, for example, or DeFi would be another example. Maybe the DApp Store just has rules completely against that. And so while the existing application stores do a whole bunch for users in terms of protecting them from spam, malicious software, other unwanted software, illegal content, their policies also put a lot of restrictions on what users can do with their self-custody to assets, whether explicitly or implicitly by making it financially infeasible to deliver a certain use case and pay a 30% fee. NFT marketplaces being a great example of that. And so we want to keep all the good parts of an application store, right? I don't want the Solana DApp Store to be a place that has, malicious software, spam, et cetera. But I also want to open up those Web3 use cases. And so that's really our vision, is build an application store that still provides curation of the catalog and protection for the users, while at the same time having policies that are explicitly crypto friendly. The store will be fee-free. We're not going to have any fees other than transaction fees for on-network transaction fees for users of the Solana DApp Store. So I do want to dive into one thing which is interesting here, which is the concept of curation versus publishing, because I think they're in traditional app stores, those are kind of one and the same. You have to, when you publish in an application store, you have to submit your application, submit all your assets, submit your description. The publishing is controlled by the application store, and then curation is part of that. They make their decisions about what can be listed, and then they would post that as their catalog to be consumed by users. With the Solana DApp Store, we've actually divided up those two responsibilities. And it may seem a little academic, but I think it's very much looking towards the future. applications in the Solana DApp Store will be published on chain. So they'll be represented as NFTs. All the metadata, all the images, all the screenshots, all the assets will be public and published on chain. So that part of it is completely permissionless. Anyone who wants to can publish these descriptions of their applications, all the metadata on chain for anyone to see and consume. But because we do still want to provide protections to the users, the curation of the Solana Mobile DApp Store, it will be curated by the Solana Mobile team. Users deserve all those protections from illegal content, spam, unwanted software, et cetera, that we discussed before. And so we will still have a hand in curating. But since everything's on chain, if people see this and they have a different opinion on curation, the application data is all there on chain. They can go and they can build their own application store experiences and deliver on that without any involvement from Solana Mobile. So it may be a little academic at the beginning. There's only going to be one endpoint that's consuming this on-chain data, but it's just it keeps us honest. It gives us a reason to do a great job, because if we don't do a great job, someone else can come in with their own opinion of what this should look like.
Definitely, super interesting. No, it is unfortunate today in the state of the world that there is such a high tax on developers from the App Store, and also such large restrictions on what can and cannot be built. And so I think it's a breath of fresh air. Again, I think you're really pushing forward the industry within crypto, but then also the broader phone ecosystem to enable kind of these applications, multitude of devices. So it's super interesting.
Yep. It's the Solana DApp Store will be launching first on the Solana Saga. And hopefully in the future, we can have broader distribution of that. I'm excited for a future where more users have more choices in terms of getting all of their content. The Solana DApp Store is definitely focused on Web3 and crypto content. That's sort of our North Star. But from a conceptual level, I'm excited for different models of distributions of applications on mobile devices.
Yeah, and I believe you said earlier, both of these, the software side is open source. And so I know obviously the team is focused on Solana and helping enable applications being taught on the Solana ecosystem, but this is not exclusive to Solana specifically, correct?
Right. So I'll start off with, I'm a believer in Solana. I think it's the right chain to solve, it provides solutions to many, many problems for dApps. And so we are definitely focused with the Saga on delivering Solana as our, our first class chain, if you will, on this device.
I'm a fan of Solana as well, for the record.
Glad to hear it. But, in the DApp Store, we would never turn down an application, for example, because it used a different chain. That's not, or it was multi-chain or even used a different chain. That's not part of our vision for what the DApp Store should be. DApp Store should be a place for users to find Web3 content, to find crypto content, and to a certain degree, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? Similarly, on the phone, we're building seed vault and mobile wallet adapter for Solana first. But if we wouldn't ever do anything on a phone that would prevent a user from using it the way they wanted to, including using other chains on that device.
Definitely makes sense. No, I fully agree. I mean, I've gone way down the rabbit hole of different blockchains and their different architectures, and I'm a very, very strong believer of Solana's design choices and ultimately what Anatolian team has built there, and agree that a rising tide lifts all boats. And so it's exciting to see that. I mean, you're just pushing the industry forward to really have, I think the ethos of Web3 more broadly is self-custody, and enabling that in mobile devices, and enabling really kind of a mobile, being able to build the experience where many people typically interact with the internet and being through their phone. So it's definitely exciting stuff. And you mentioned, so maybe like backing up a little bit, earlier, you also mentioned that you started shipping some of the developer kits. Could you talk about like where you kind of stand today in like the actual process of making these devices, and potentially even when like a normal consumer could also receive these?
Sure. This feels a lot like crypto Twitter. I just get asked when. So we are shipping Saga in early 2023, and still blows my mind that we're already in 2023. So we're diligently working to wrap up the product development, put this in people's hands. But the best news is that developer kits, which are early hardware for Saga, pre-release hardware, are shipping now. We actually just sent out several hundred more invitations today. So if you're a developer and you want to get early access to pre-production Saga hardware, go ahead, pre-order your Saga, and then make sure to fill in all your developer details. So connect your GitHub, tell us what you're working on, and then we will be looking at that pre-order data and inviting developers to pre-order Saga devices. It's the same, this hardware here. So I'm carrying this as my personal dog food device, using it on a day-to-day basis. But this is the exact hardware that we're shipping out for these dev kit units. On the dev kits, we have the seed vault, and then, of course, the mobile wallet adapter technology, which, while not being limited to Saga, was definitely designed with Saga in mind, is available on this device. The principal purpose of this is to get developers building these great mobile experiences. Right? It's, definitely to use something like Seed Vault, where it's deeply integrated with the system. It needs to be present there. But also part of what we're bringing with Saga is an audience of crypto forward users, people who live and breathe Web3, live and breathe crypto. And so getting developers to build out their experiences and take advantage of things that are unique to mobile devices. All those themes I mentioned before, the pervasiveness of computing, the ability to asynchronously notify and involve users, and then the sensors, especially things like NFC and camera and GPS and all those things. Getting developers to start building those so that when the phone does launch to users, the application store has new and valuable experiences for them. And so if you want to build one of those brand new experiences, definitely go ahead and pre-order that Saga and fill in your developer details, so that you can order one of these dev kits. When we do start shipping the mass production version of the phone a little bit later this year, still early 2023, you'll have a chance to exchange the developer kit for a production unit. So it's certainly not an either-or situation. If you're a developer, there's an opportunity to get those dev kits now, start building with it, start experiencing it. I will mention, though, the one thing that isn't on these phones yet is the DApp Store itself. We're building the DApp Store. We're doing some testing right now. We're actually going to be opening up. So I'm not sure exactly when this podcast will go live, but in the month of January, we're opening up the DApp Store for submissions by developers. And so hopefully by the time this goes live to an audience, it'll be open and people will be able to submit their applications to the Solana DApp Store for approval.
Perfect. Very exciting. Things are moving relatively quickly. You said you joined the team in February or March of last year?
Late February of last year. And it feels both no time at all ago and a lifetime ago.
A lot has happened, definitely in the crypto world. But very exciting. So on one thing that you mentioned was the notification side of things. And I think today we kind of take that for granted in kind of the Web2 world and also on kind of our older devices. But today in crypto, that's notoriously hard to get notifications. Could you talk a little bit just about the component, about developers being able to, I'd say, more kind of like a more enriched experience with applications, and some things that you would like to see within that?
Sure. So there's really two things I keep in mind when I think about these notifications. One of which is telling me when I need to interact. And so, whether it's your DeFi, maybe there's market movements that you need to be aware of to make good decisions around your DeFi activities, or NFT mints. So both of these things would demand immediate attention from the user. And that's the best thing, or that's one of the best capabilities provided by a mobile phone, is they are designed for these asynchronous notifications. And so, and that's a great reason to build applications on the device. The mobile web, bringing a lot of those experiences that people are used to today, you can do a lot with that. But when you develop these mobile first experiences in React Native, in Dart and Flutter, maybe native in Kotlin or Java, you get the opportunity to use something like Firebase messaging, for example, a very Web2 technology, but still allowing you to deliver notifications in a timely manner so that users can take advantage of anything they want to do in their Web3 world. I do look forward to when there's more like on-chain notification delivery. I think there's some emerging technology in that area that I'm excited to see where it goes. But fundamentally, what matters to me here is the end user experience. They should get a notification telling them when to interact. And then the second part of that is, or the second sort of use case I keep in mind when I think about this, is social use cases. People are, social media, we all know how popular that is on mobile devices. And that is very much also notification based. You want to know when people are interested in the content that you're publishing, and you want to know when other people publish content that's interesting to you. Notifications is the paradigm by which that social media is mediated. Users open up their notification center and live their lives watching for these notifications and making decisions based on it. And so there's plenty of activity going on around social feeds and social networks in the Web3 world. And I think that the mobile platform is the perfect place to deliver some of that.
I fully agree, and especially on a platform that is so high throughput like Solana. Kind of a unique combination of both that will allow for more enriched social experience, which I'm definitely looking forward to as well. It's going to be exciting. Lots of big things for Solana coming up, kind of with Fire Dancer, and then a lot of big things being announced and continuing to kind of be pushed into the mainstream with Saga and SMS. So there's lots of things to look forward to in 2023.
So I've had the privilege of having Saga in various forms on my desk since the middle of last year, and having the opportunity to see it grow. It's a double-edged sword. I get to experience everything we're building. I'm so excited to put that into people's hands, but I'm also sometimes too close to the trees to see the larger forest. And I think I mentioned before, but I'm worried that being so close to it, I'm constrained by only seeing what is being built right now. And so I can't wait until these devices are shipping. They're in developers' hands, they're in users' hands, and seeing what people build next for it. We have, my team is active on Discord, we're active on Twitter. We have our Solana Mobile GitHub. You can find that solanamobile.com, both for information on our SDK, our Discord, as well as how to pre-order units. But you can, on GitHub, we do a lot of our work in the open, as much as we can. There's a few constraints sometimes that prevent us from doing all of our work in the open. But we'd love people to participate. But also I'm looking forward to people going there and telling us what they want the phone to do next. The SDKs that we're building and delivering as part of SMS are very much what I consider a minimum viable product at this stage. These are just some of those core building blocks that will unlock creativity on mobile, but there's a million more things that we can ideate within the team, and that the community is constantly telling us that if only we had this, it would be so much better. I would love for any of your audience who are developers to come to join us on our Discord, join us on GitHub, and tell us what you're looking for. Right? My creativity has limits, but I'm always pleasantly surprised by the amount of creativity that exists in Web3. And so come tell us the things that you need to see from us, and we can do our best to deliver what you need to build these great experiences.
The Solana community is definitely very strong and has lots of opinions, so I'm sure you'll get lots of feedback and hopefully some pull requests or issues on the GitHub as well. Definitely a strong community.
Yeah, there's nothing I love more than seeing someone, the first time they see a name is them in a GitHub issue where they state a problem and say, and by the way, here's a suggested patch to fix it, and here's a test that shows why it's important, and so forth. That as an engineer, that warms my heart.
Definitely. The one thing I think you mentioned as well initially was some of the grants that you're doing and the grant program that you have for Solana Saga or Solana Mobile Stack and also Saga. Could you touch upon a little bit of those?
Sure. So we announced the grant program when we announced the Saga device in June of last year. And so there's still plenty of grant money available in the grant fund. And we're providing grants for mobile use cases that are either open source projects, infrastructure, enhancements to existing libraries, or key new infrastructure that delivers functionality to mobile users that doesn't currently exist. And so, for example, the Unity SDK work that I referred to before, we've given a grant to a team to explore adding the mobile wallet adapter functionality into or producing a Unity library for it. Similarly for React Native, for Dart and Flutter. And we've also given a grant to a team to start exploring what it would take to bring mobile wallet adapter to iOS. There's a lot more limitations on the iOS side, which make it a more difficult problem space to address than on Android. But I'm not going to rest until we have, mobile wallet adapter is everywhere. It's designed not just for Android, it's designed for mobile use cases. And so we may need to make a few tweaks to it to work well with iOS, but I want every mobile user to have a great experience with Solana on the go.
I love it. And definitely appreciate the grants and getting the community involved and helping improve the product. Maybe kind of towards just the end of the podcast, you also mentioned earlier when there wasn't that much innovation in the phone space prior to you wanting to join to the Saga team. And that was kind of consisted of two parts, kind of Web3 and like the unique innovations of building a mobile phone for Web3 specifically, but then also being involved on the Solana side. Could you talk about like why Solana and some of the things that really drew you to the Solana platform holistically, and then also really what brought you into crypto and Web3?
Sure. So why Solana, I think, is a combination of all the different technical things that make Solana, pretty unique as far as L1s go. The performance of the chain and the openness of the community. That's a big one for me. Is I look around, especially in recent days, and I am constantly shocked and awed by how productive the community is, how supportive the community is. And so being able to see, the response from the community really has really given me heart recently. And that, while obviously when I joined, there was a very different environment for the community, I did see that same positivity there. It's definitely a community that I knew I wanted to be involved with. And so it was a bit of a leap of faith for me. I come from a consumer electronics and phones background to jump into a space like Web3. I was certainly an enthusiast, but it's an area that I definitely was not an expert in. And so having the opportunity to, sort of live and breathe crypto over the last year, if there was any community I was going to do it in, I'm glad it was Solana.
Perfect. And then on the hardware side, it just kind of being able to kind of jump at kind of pushing the industry forward kind of captivated you?
Sorry, repeat that one again.
With I guess the first part of the question was like, why Solana? And then the second part, you said you were kind of like seeing the industry kind of just like have some like repetition and like really not pushing the space forward. Was it the fact that, really getting involved in a new industry and really trying something different that like caught your eye here?
Yeah. So Over my career, I've spent, I would guess, about 15 years working on phones, going all the way back to BlackBerry. Right after college, I went to school in Canada at the University of Waterloo, and BlackBerry was right across the street. And so I just naturally fell into that right after college. And being in that space, where everything was changing with phones at that time. Every year, phones were getting incredibly more capable. They were doing brand new things. There was crazy form factors. It was always exciting, and there was always new stuff happening. I don't know how about you, but the last few generations of phones have felt, there's still evolution happening. The specs are improving. They are getting better, but they weren't getting better, and they weren't changing at the pace they used to be changing. And so in recent years, I had sort of worked on some consumer electronic products other than phones. But this was the first phone in a while that felt like, I see the innovation happening. And it wasn't happening in, not necessarily just in the hardware, but also in the software and in bringing new communities and new experiences and capabilities to Saga that aren't there on other phones. And that's really what I'm most excited about here is there is this huge important space, crypto and Web3, that just isn't on phones in a mature way yet. It's inevitable to me that it will get there. Phones have won in every other application, and the convergence of functionality into a single device, no one wants to carry a second device with them on the go. There's plenty of use cases. Like I said before, Ledger is an incredibly secure product. But for the on-the-go use case, having the convergence into a single device, I believe, is inevitable. And I want to be involved in defining from the beginning what it should feel like to experience Web3 and crypto on a mobile device.
Beautifully put. And no, as you said earlier, you're really planting the flag in the entire industry, not only crypto, to kind of push it forward. And so I definitely appreciate all the team's work and appreciate you bringing the community along, sharing these updates. We definitely appreciate it. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to getting their Saga devices.
Awesome. And I'd love to give just a quick shout out to both the Awesome team, who is our phone partner we're working closely with. Their software team has been just doing incredible things with helping us to build the seed vault, as well as the engineering, design, product, marketing, operations, all the teams here at Solana Labs that are working on Saga and SMS. I get to talk to, on podcasts like this fairly frequently, but I'd love to make sure that we recognize the hard work of everyone that's going into this, producing Saga. And I'm so excited. I am unbelievably pumped for when people are going to get a chance to experience it themselves in 2023.
Definitely. I fully agree and look forward to a lot of people having Saga and the full SMS stack being seen in the wild. I remember when I first started to see Teslas, I was shocked. And then eventually I saw a bunch of Teslas everywhere. And I feel like this will be a similar phenomena. So definitely appreciate all the hard work.
I cannot wait until I see another one of these being carried in an airport somewhere, right? It's right now there's, I go to the Solana offices and I see them, and I know that in a year or two, we'll see them everywhere. And that is exciting.
Definitely. Well, thank you again, Stephen. Really, really appreciate your time. Appreciate the work that you're doing. Appreciate the work that the team is doing. And again, excited for you guys to be the ones to plant the flag and to push the industry forward. We're all very appreciative of that.
Thank you so much for having me on today, Logan. I appreciate it.